everyone. Welcome to this panel, Cannes First Time Conversations, sponsored by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. My name is Helen Höhne, and I'm the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press. And I'm so delighted to see all of you here for this panel of first-time Cannes visitors. It's an important opportunity for them and for us because the HFPA has always prided itself to seeking out new and fresh voices, especially internationally, giving them a platform for the rest of the world and introduce their vision. I'm so happy to introduce our moderator, KJ Matthews. KJ is an award-winning journalist who has worked in the entertainment industry for nearly 2 decades throughout the US with ABC, CBS, Fox, and most recently CNN. She currently reports for Germany's DW English TV, BBC World News, and Sky News. That's just to name a few. Before I start, if you can please turn off your cell phones and if you can please wear a mask. COVID is on the rise and we all want you to be safe, especially here. It's a small space, so I would just recommend that you all wear a mask. Now please welcome KJ Matthews and she will introduce the panel. KJ?
Hello, everyone. How's the film festival been going for you guys? Pretty good. Intense, though, right? Well, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. And thank you for that wonderful introduction, Helen. You're the best. I really appreciate it. I'm a new member of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. This is my first time doing an event with them at the Cannes Film Festival, so I'm extremely excited. I kind of have a little bit in common then with the first filmmakers here who are having their projects and films debuting. So this will be quite an engaging and fun conversation, and I'm so happy that you guys took the time out of your schedule to show up to the panel. So without further ado, let's get into it. Our first panelist is Maksym. Now, I want to get this right, because I've heard it pronounced 2 different ways. Is it Maksym Nakonechnyi?
Yeah, almost.
Oh, yeah. First try. Nice. Thank God. So
yeah, nice job.
From here on, can I just call you Maksym?
Yeah, of course. You can call me Max.
All right. Okay, so Maksym is a very young Ukrainian filmmaker whose first feature debut here in Cannes. It was selected for the Untitled Chapter competition. The film Butterfly Vision is his directorial debut feature film here at Cannes, and it's about a Ukrainian female soldier who returns to her family life, that is, after several months of being held captive by Russians in the, is it Donbas region of Ukraine?
Yeah, in
okay,
Donbas,
great.
Yeah.
Now, Maksym holds a bachelor's degree in directing from Kyiv National University. Great. And after working on several TV projects, he teamed with a group of creatives to form the independent production company Tabor with his friends that is, which now makes documentaries, fiction films, theater plays, commercials, social videos, and cultural volunteering projects. As a director, Maksym has done several fiction shorts and regularly produces documentaries. His most prominent titles include the 2020 IDFA Best First Appearance, This Rain Will Never Stop, and 67 Berlinale Generation 14 Plus Grand Prix winner, School 3. Congratulations, and thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, KJ. Thank you.
Next, we have Lotfy. Nathan, did I get that right?
Yeah, Lotfy, the T is before the F.
Oh, the T, yeah. We were talking about how difficult our names are, my real name versus his name, so bear with me. Lotfy, he's also been prominent fixture here at Cannes, so if you've been following any of the headlines, you've seen or heard him. His film, Harka, is his debut, scripted feature film debut here at Cannes, correct? Okay. Yeah. It's competing in the Uncertain Regard section of the film festival, and like Butterfly Vision, critics are praising Harka as well. Pretty much. I've been seeing it all over the internet and YouTube, so definitely congratulations. The film is set with the Arab Spring as a backdrop. Harka tells the story of a young man named Ali who lives in poverty in Tunisia, and after the death of his father, he finds himself in charge of his 2 sisters, and his life takes a tragic turn, unexpected turn that is in the film. I won't give too much away, but it's remarkable, and it's based on some real life events. He has been awarded the HBO Emerging Artist Award for the 2013 documentary film 12 O'Clock Boys. I saw that. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. And that played in over 50 film festivals, I believe that is, including Sundance, South by Southwest, LA, Lincoln Center, Vienna International Film Festival, Hot Docs, Copenhagen International Documentary Film Festival, so a lot of film festivals. It was remade as Charm City Kings with Sony Pictures. Nathan is a grantee of the Creative Capital Foundation and the Cinerec Foundation and a previous awardee of the Garrett Scott Grant and the Peter Reed Foundation, the Granger Marburg, the IFP Fellowship, the Doha Film Fund, and the Sundance Writers Workshop. So you've been around. You've been quite around. So congratulations on that. Yeah. And last but not least, I don't know if you guys have been following. You probably saw that we were supposed to have the great actor, Indian actor, R. Madhavan. He's normally called Maddie to, I think, his friends, a lot of his friends. He had to pull out at the last minute. But in his place, we have a wonderful animation filmmaker who I'd like to introduce to you guys. Now, you told me your name. Let me make sure I get it right. Soumitra Ranade.
Yeah. Soumitra, Ranade. Yeah.
See,
No,
that's how
fine,
it is.
yeah.
Soumitra. Okay. Now, he's an alumnus of the Sir J.J. School of Arts, Mumbai Film and Television Institute of India. He has been writing, directing, and producing a wide range of animation and live action projects in feature films, TV series, documentaries, and short experimental genres. His work has been showcased at various prestigious international film festivals, and he's received numerous awards. His most famous works include the children's feature films. Now, you're going to have to help me with this one because I know it's the judge. Do you want to go ahead and pronounce it?
It's a tough one even for me.
Yeah.
It's actually Jajantaram Mamantaram.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And then there's one more, Goopy.
It's actually,
Right. It's a different
the
one.
World of the world of Gopi and Baga.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
You've done a
easier.
lot. But now, currently, you're working on the, is it Kabuliwala?
Kabuliwala.
Yeah. Now, that's an animated adaptation of a classic short story, correct? Okay. And lastly, you're also, get this, he's not just a filmmaker, he is also the chief creative director of Paper Boat Animation Studios, which just debuted its upcoming animation slate, I think, here? Yes, that's right. At the Cannes Film Festival. So how is that? How exciting is that? Yeah. Congratulate him. Yeah. So these are our three panelists, and I'd like to get started. First of all, I just want all of you to give me your reaction to Cannes. You all are here either for the first time, or you have a project that's debuting for the first time, or a film. What has this experience been like for all of you guys?
That was absolutely amazing, actually, because we got a lot of positive response, and it's always better to it's exciting to share
Right.
your work with people and see how they're responding. So yeah, so it was very exciting for us. Unfortunately, in my earlier trips, they never selected my film. So
Oh, there's still time, right? There's still time. There's
yeah.
always.
We'll get there.
Right. I understand. Maxim, what about you?
Well, we haven't had our premiere yet.
But there's been a lot of writing and
yeah.
critics reviewing it, and I
Yeah.
know they've been calling you up asking for interviews and whatnot. And this is your first time in
yeah,
a feature.
I've already had a bunch of interviews, which are like very intense, and I mean, I feel it's important, but all of that is kind of really hectic.
Yeah.
I should admit. Yeah, but I never imagined that so many things
Right.
follow actually the films.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the first time I see it, like how it is evolving with all this huge market and all the industry representatives
Right.
from all over the world arriving. So we can see actually how the films are being, I don't know, being born,
Right.
not even born, but how you call it when.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any sleep at all?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
but hardly, and I have to fight for it. But still, yeah, I'm doing my best.
It's tough out there. Okay, Lotfy, how have you been experiencing all of this?
Well, it's been amazing here. The project took a long time, so I would wonder, many times how it could ever feel concluded,
Right.
But really, when we had our premiere and when it was finished,
Right.
it just felt like such a ceremony for like finishing the film, you know, and
Right.
presenting the film, and I couldn't think of a better way to do it.
When you found out, both particularly Maksym and you, Lotfy, when you found out that your film was chosen in the Uncertain Regard selection and that you would have to come to the #1 film festival in the world, what was your first feeling when you first learned that?
I was so excited. I mean, I was drinking champagne for 3 days. Yeah, I found out in the morning, and I had a drink probably at like 10 in the morning. It was like celebrating for a while. Yeah, but then obviously it sinks in that there's stuff to do and there's a lot to
Right.
prepare, and you know, you want to have all your ducks in a row
Right.
when you getting here because there's opportunities with it, and you know, so. But it's just great. It's great.
It's tough. What about you?
Well, my guessing is exception, I may guess, probably, because, yeah, when I got the news, I thought I should feel excited, but
Right.
there would be, like, not enough emotional space inside me to feel that excitement because other things would happen,
Right.
yeah, which would draw my attention. But still, I felt that this is just an important step, both for my career, obviously, for my film crew. That's where I felt the excitement.
Right.
I was really happy to call everyone from the film crew, to the main actress, to the DOP, to the production
lot.
designer. Yeah, and to like give them these good news. That was really pleasant thing. What I thought that now is really a bunch of job to be done.
A lot.
Yeah, and also I felt like this is also important for all the Ukrainian cinema community also.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to talk about the fact that a lot of the spotlight has been put on Ukrainian filmmakers who are here at the Cannes Film Festival, rightly so because of all the crisis that's happening with Ukraine and with Russia.
The war.
Yeah, with the war. It's a war, basically, yes. And I'm wondering, having you guys here and having the slate of projects from the Ukraine, is that helping get your message across and your voice? How much help is that having for the Ukrainians?
What conclusion I found I made up here that I think that being in a spotlight and keeping the attention and being present in the general agenda, let's say, is kind of a matter of our survival also,
Right.
just because it's our mere identity is under attack, and culture is the thing that initially forms this identity, and that's why it's essential to keep it sustainable enough, because this is also not our army is the
Right.
initial target. Our identity as a sovereign
Right.
state and our culture is the, how you call this?
Yeah, no, I
Is
completely
the milestone
understand.
for that. So that's why
And
I
it's
thought
tough.
it's really essential. Yeah,
It's tough.
it is.
Yeah, we appreciate you even being here, considering what is happening with your country. So thank you just for that. Yeah, for sure. Lotfy, your film is one of, I think it's like 7 or 8 feature films that are like Arab-based kind of films that are happening here at the Cannes Film Festival. Have you been able to kind of talk to some of the other Arab filmmakers or filmmakers who are presenting Arab films here at the Cannes Film Festival?
Yeah, a few, and I think there's a nice light on that right now as well. Obviously,
Right.
here, and although our film is a little bit different because
Correct.
it's set in Tunisia. We filmed it in Tunisia, but I'm based in New York, and I grew up in the West. So, and my family is Egyptian, so it's kind of this roundabout.
Right. Notice he
association.
doesn't. He has an American accent.
Yeah, very
So
American accent.
you can tell.
So our thing is a bit confused as far as representation. I'm not I'm not wholly Arab,
Right.
But my roots are from there too. But it's nice to be among that group, and I heard that it was getting some nice responses from Tunisian filmmakers as well, and that means a lot, because we wanted it to be very intimately set in the country as well. So.
Understandably. Soumitra, I'd like to talk to you about the fact that I think you had a trio of films that you guys revealed here in Cannes. Can you talk to me a little bit about the 3 animation projects that are upcoming from your paper boat company?
Yeah, studios, yeah. Yeah, so the first one is Kabuli Wala, which translates as a man from Kabul. And, the title itself, I think, is in a pretty explanatory in the sense,
Right.
because this whole thing, the myth about this man in a turban and
It's a lot going on.
and a beard is a man of war.
Right.
So that's not
Right.
It's not at all true. I lived in Afghanistan as a teenager, so I've seen
Okay.
the country very closely. And the film is based upon a short short story.
It's a classic short, right? Classic short. It's probably really well known in India. I would imagine. So it's going to probably
Indian
have
has read that story. It's
Great.
a very, very popular story, and it's about compassion.
Yeah.
We are all living in the times of hate.
Right. And what I was going to say, with the three projects, can we expect them out within the next year? Do you think you'll be
It'll take 2 years from now.
2 years? Okay.
It'll take 2 years because animation takes a little time.
Takes a little bit of time, but it could be in Cannes Film Festival in like 2025, perhaps.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's hope. Yeah.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I want to go back to you, Lotfy, and talk about the story being inspired by a real person in a real event. I didn't want to get into that in the beginning because I want you to tell the story about how it came about and why you chose this real life event to make a film about and to make sure it was your scripted feature film debut.
Yeah, well, initially my plan was to make a film about Mohammed Bouazizi, who was the catalyst for the what they call the Arab Spring in the West. You know, in this small town in Tunisia, in the south, he self-immolated and became the symbol for the revolution. Although it could have happened
Anywhere.
Anywhere in a lot of other countries.
We saw what happened in the summer of 2021 or 2020 or 2021. Yeah. In America.
Of course.
A lot of similarities between that.
Yeah, and or it's 2020.
I can't.
Right.
Look, we're in pandemic time, so we get our 2021 and 2020.
I know, it's true.
We literally get confused. So you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The last few years,
it's been crazy. We've been in pandemic time.
Yeah, but I remember thinking that was a very inspirational moment. Living in the States, it's funny that you mentioned what happened in 2020 because I was. Or was it 2021?
I know. I get my dates mixed up too. You know, I know it was after the situation with George Floyd. So it's.
But I thought that would never happen in where I live. You know.
Right.
And I thought it was so remarkable that it was happening there, and I thought there was this exciting generation that was like actually getting into the street. You know, and also. As I was thinking about what my first scripted film would be, I was really interested in the fact that there was an individual who was sort of the symbol for it. So with my documentary background, my first project was a documentary. I thought that I would go there to the city where it happened and try to find out about his life and make this very close portrait of him. You know, fiction, but you know, and then just from there it evolved, and the time that it took to make the film, there was hindsight of the revolution, you know, the aftermath. So it didn't make sense anymore to do this pre-revolution story, because also to end it with this. At the time, the revolution seemed very celebratory, you know, but I think people were a bit fatigued by it after, you know, once they see what the actual aftermath is, and there is still a lot of
turmoil going on.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of chaos that gets created in the wake of revolution, and that's, I think, how it always happens after a revolution.
You know, when I was doing a little bit of research about your film, what was interesting to me is I don't think a lot of people understood that the Arab Spring kind of got its start in Tunisia. For some reason, I didn't even know that it happened in that country. I mean, I know it was Arab, but I didn't know it happened in Tunisia. And I had never heard of the gentleman who obviously ends up killing himself. I had never even heard of him, or that he was the impetus for the movement. You know, so little is known about him, I think, to the Western world specifically. So it was really interesting and exciting to learn more about him. I, of course, wanted to learn more about him after I saw the film, and his plight and what he was doing and why he did what he did.
But I mean, interestingly, while I was working on the film, like I said, I live in New York. There was a cab driver who killed himself outside of City Hall downtown. You know, basically after the taxi industry was decimated by Uber and the rideshare companies,
Wow.
So I think it is really universal condition. So things like that made me remember to try to keep the story,
Right.
with this universal thing in mind.
Right. So many
Yeah.
countries and so many people can relate to it when you keep it that way.
I
For
think
sure.
so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maxim, your situation is even more real because, your story is about a Ukrainian female soldier and you guys are at war right now. So what has the kind of not like feedback, but what has the reaction been from people within Ukraine that know what you're doing, know that your film is here, and know what your film is about, even if they haven't seen it?
Once again, I think everyone is, I guess, happy that we are having this exposure,
Right.
and that we are bringing the fact to the spotlight. The fact that the war hasn't started on February 24th this
Right.
year. It has been
Building up.
It has been building up all these 8 years. Started from the annexation of Crimea and invasion of the Donbass. But so far, it's like as the result of the propaganda and as the result of the big Russian influence and big presence, it was presented like a frozen conflict. But now we see that it turned out into a real war. And yeah, so far it all been good that we are just having this exposure and having this possibility to speak out at this platform, which gains a lot of attention.
Which is the number one
usually.
platform in the world, really.
Yeah.
What has been the most interesting thing that someone has come up to any of you guys and said about your work here? Because it's on an international stage, obviously. So people who at home may not have even heard of you are now going online, Googling, looking at the trailer if they can't see the film yet, learning a little bit more about you. And I'm wondering if you have been contacted, has someone come up to you or emailed you or reached out to you and just surprised you what they thought of you and your film at all since you've been here at Cannes? Because I know you have a lot of people coming up to you. You're getting both of your films are getting a lot of praise and critical acclaim. And usually when that happens at Cannes, people reach out to you. That's just the way it is.
So far, the most, let's say, pleasant and surprising thing that was, it was even before the festival, but
Right.
After the news and selection, our sales agents, Wild Bunch, started working on to getting the distributors on board.
Okay.
And one of the French distributors, Noor Film, who is our French distributor now, he wrote just an amazing review, which you could easily take it as the film critics review in some of the
Right.
top cinema editions, but it was just his reaction to the film. And that's like, I think that's how you should get your people on board. You
Right.
just, it's yeah, of course, it's always about business and the industry, but without a click, there won't be anything. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
there we felt that click, even there was a distance between us, but this click happened, and that so far was the most
love
pleasant
it.
thing.
The
yeah.
international language of film, right?
Yeah, right.
What about you, Lotfy?
Oh, as far as comments, well, I'm a pretty anxious person, so I tend to focus on like the criticisms,
Right. A lot of us do that, even
yeah,
as
yeah,
journalists, trust me.
But we had a very, very nice review in the Telegraph that was
Oh, wonderful.
that was really amazing to read. I kind of waited to read that one because people
Was
were
that the
saying it was
one
very
where they
good.
thought you should perhaps be in competition for the Palme d'Or?
Yeah, they did say
Of
that.
course, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
favorite. That's the favorite.
No, but I mean, that's a can of worms because
Okay.
actually that's where you have to fill a 3,000 person theater, for the
okay.
competition film. So, but I mean, it's very nice to say. But there was also something in the Hollywood Reporter where they said it was smart but capricious,
Oh,
and I was like, what is that? And I remembered that my uncle called me capricious once,
Oh,
and it's
God.
like
I love
maybe
it.
maybe they're right, So,
right.
yeah.
They're onto something, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't that just feel great to have it be received? Because it could be worse. You could be one of the films where people are questioning, like, why is it here? You know,
Right.
why is it even at Cannes?
Yeah.
It's not worthy of that, and that's not the case with any of your projects.
I mean,
you're not
honestly-
hearing that at all.
Right. But honestly, I think when there's a mix in reviews, it's a good thing. Honestly,
Oh,
like
okay.
that it doesn't all have to be necessarily praise, for
Brings you back down
for
to
a
earth.
Film. Yeah, and like that there's some discourse, and that it maybe means that you tried some things that were
Right.
You
A
know,
little bit
and there's
edgier,
some
different.
experiments that you took. So I like that stuff.
You like it too.
Yeah.
Was I correct in you already know what your next project is going to be, or Did you make a deal here with somebody, or you've been talking with someone?
Yeah,
I thought
we
I
just-
heard something about
yeah,
you
yeah.
are now slated for your sophomore
Yeah.
feature, not sophomore follow-up. Directing.
Yeah. We just announced a new film. The working title is Son, and this is going to be a biblical horror film. That's
Biblical horror film.
based on this apocryphal text that was written around the time of the New Testament, and it's
Really?
this sort of missing chapter of the Bible of tells the story of Jesus as an adolescent.
Wow.
So it's going to be in English.
Maybe English.
Yeah.
You think it might stand a chance to come back here at the festival next
I mean, I want to bring everything back here if we can. So we'll see.
every year, right?
Yeah.
No matter what. No matter what. What about yourself in terms of like once you guys revealed your slate or whatever? Have you had any other of the famous Indian filmmakers come up to you or someone say they'd like to perhaps write for you guys or do something with you guys at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, we've been having meetings with all kinds of people from all over the world. In fact,
Let me
not
tell you,
just
he's
from
not
India.
telling a lie. I went to one of the events they had at the local, it was a Majestic Hotel, and I could barely get in around to the door, around the pool. It was jam-packed with filmmakers and people in the filmmaking community that just want more content and art from these wonderful Indian filmmakers.
So yeah, so a lot of people who are traditionally live action filmmakers have started thinking animation now.
Right,
So
right.
That's exciting. We also, speaking to some French producers, some Canadian producers for joint ventures and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been an exciting trip.
It's been
for it.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're obviously friends and work with our Maddie, who isn't here, but he had a wonderful directorial debut with his film Rocketry, The Nambi Effect, and I think it was like a standing ovation at the premiere. Is what I saw on YouTube. The film had like a standing ovation. He isn't here, but his film, he also would have been here, was a debut, and he's an actor, famous actor. You guys probably already know him from the acting world, but this is his first directing. He actually acted in it, directed it, produced it, and I think he's a co-writer. So it's just a lot of great first here at the Cannes Film Festival, which is always exciting. Yeah. I wanted to go back to you, Maksym, and talk a little bit about why you chose to have a female soldier instead of a male. I love the fact that you chose a female soldier, but oftentimes in stories about war and stories about soldier, the number of women who are portrayed in the soldier role is like, what, less than 5%? It's not a lot. So I like the fact that you took that gamble, and I just want you to talk about why.
Well, it all, as always, it's connected to the reality, actually, because I was actually editing a documentary about women soldiers and veterans battling in the Russian-Ukrainian war. And when you're editing, you just keep listening to the certain words again and again, rewatching the scenes. So, like the protagonists, their perspective, their optics, let's say, their position at war and their position in the society,
Right.
like having these two, let's say, vulnerable statuses, because the participant of war is actually a vulnerable status back then in a civil society.
Correct.
So, but having all these vulnerability just brought them much more strength, in my opinion. And that's what I thought that should be a moral compass for all of us, especially like a person with in such a vulnerable position and with such a traumatic experience, but who manages to survive and who keeps her will to be in charge of her own life and to make her own decisions.
Right.
Should be kind of a moral compass for each of us and for all of our our Ukrainian war-torn society and all our torn society, let's say, right now in the world. So all these, let's say, conclusions, mindful conclusions, they came afterwards. First, I was impressed by just one, it's not line, but it's one phrase by one of the protagonists, that the captivity was the scariest thing for her.
Right.
And she even made a deal with her fellow combatants so they would kill her in a situation where her becoming captive would be possible.
Oh, okay.
So I started thinking, what scarier than death can await a woman soldier in capture? And that's how I made up the story.
Oh, okay.
And then I just, started thinking, why did this story come to me? Why did it impressed me so much. And then I really understood that a position of such a person is much more inclusive
Right.
and is very humanistic.
Yeah.
Even, it's always about hope. So,
Yeah. No, I love that you took that angle because it would have been so easy for you to just portray another male soldier, and you
Yeah,
didn't.
of course, and of course it would cause much less controversy since I'm
Right.
also a male, But
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
But I mean, I tried not to focus on that much, but to be really inclusive and to be also like, I mean, I'm not justifying, but it's not on. It wasn't intentional, but all like 90% of the crew is on film is women because I have more female friends actually, to be honest, and we tried also to just open up and to make all the creative process kind of a collective experience.
Right.
So everyone brings their own position
Right.
and brings their own approach and the attitude towards the topic, towards the story, and it may have not been obvious and it may have not have the direct impact, but I hope this experience was really collective and this is present.
No, I definitely connected to it in a different way with, the protagonist being a female soldier for sure. Lotfy, I'm wondering, have you had any reaction from people in Tunisia or other Arab filmmakers about what they think? I'd love to just know kind of what the Arab community is thinking about your film. Even the ones that haven't seen it probably have read about it. They're probably aware that it's coming out. They know what it's based on, the event that it's based on. And I'm wondering what that community is saying about that.
Well, we haven't had a broad screening or,
Right.
or
But there's been a lot
premiere.
written about it, though.
A lot written, yeah. But we had a lot of peers in Tunisia who made the film with us. We really wouldn't have been able to do it there
Right.
at all without them. So our partners and our collaborators are all very excited about it and into it. And there's a filmmaker here Tunisian filmmaker who I heard very much enjoyed it. And I'm very curious to see how it goes.
How they react to
Tunisia
it.
and also in the region as a whole.
I'd love to take the spotlight off of you guys, and I want to know what you think, like about some of the other films. Are there any films, whether it's in Uncertain Regard competition with you guys, or films outside of competition, anything here at the Cannes Film Festival that caught your eye? Yeah. Any film that you want to talk
I really
about?
want to see your film. That sounds very exciting. I want to find out when the premiere is and everything.
Yeah, it's on Wednesday.
Okay, good. I'll be here. But then I also saw Top Gun.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
really fun.
I think that's a favor for everyone here.
I saw that opening night, and that was kind of amazing to see here in this setting. That was exciting.
It's very different, isn't it?
Yeah, it was my first Cannes screening period. So
I'm telling him he is so calm to be attending the Cannes Film Festival because it's a zoo here.
Yeah,
And the fact that you are debuting, your first scripted film, it's crazy. I don't know how you've been staying like down to earth and how you've been getting sleep. Have you been getting any sleep
I'm
actually?
probably maybe I seem down to earth because I'm a little tired, probably.
That's what it is.
Not down to earth though. But I also saw Armageddon Time, and that was good fun.
Great. You guys have
I wouldn't
gone
say
to,
fun, but it was very
I was
good.
going to say, have you been to any after parties at all? Have you had a chance to have some champagne and really enjoy France at all? Just a little bit? How about yourself?
Yeah, I did a little bit myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you guys are having just a little fun while you're here. I know it's really hard.
Dreaming about swimming in the sea, actually, to be honest.
What? You had time to do that?
No, I'm dreaming.
Oh, you're
about
dreaming.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
everybody's touched the water. No one's actually had time to take a day off to go swim.
I feel like we just get to look at it. Yeah, exactly. But
It is.
I mean, it's been a lot of fun here too, I think.
It's been fun. How have you guys prepared for the press? I know we touched on it a little bit. How many interviews have you guys actually done for this for the Cannes Film Festival? What about you, Maksym, and you?
I think around several dozen already, I guess. Maybe up to 20, I guess.
Wow. Have they all been just newspaper or radio?
Some of them are radio, some are newspapers, some are TV.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. What about you?
Maybe several dozen also different
Wow.
different kinds. And as far as preparation, I mean, talk about it, and you have a sort of a plan of like what you might have to defend. But what's nice here is I feel encouraged to be sort of natural about my take on the film and on
Right.
movies in general. So it's been kind of, it feels easier actually than a documentary I did years ago when I was talking to press about that. I don't know.
And it's different because your film with what 12
12 O'Clock
yeah,
Boys?
12 o'clock boys. It wasn't here at Cannes, and Cannes is a different beast. There was a lot of other film festivals around the world,
Yeah.
but not here. And this is a whole different beast to prepare for. But I don't
Yeah.
know if you did a lot of research to kind of
Well,
know
I heard
what
that they boo here and stuff. So I was worried.
you were a little bit worried. You're a little bit worried. What has been the major thing that you guys have learned since coming here? Because you have a vision of what the Cannes Film Festival is going to be like for yourself before you get here. And then once you're here a couple of days and you settle in and you start talking to people, interesting things happen. And I'm wondering, have you learned anything in your couple of days here so far? Either of you guys, or you too, Soumitra. Have you learned anything at all? Anything major just from how things work here?
I'm just trying to live the present moment and to settle all the upcoming tasks which have to be solved right now. And yeah.
you're probably a little bit nervous too because your debut, the actual premiere, has not happened yet
Right,
for
that
you.
must
Yeah,
be
yeah.
tough. Yeah, I'm sure. Waiting for it.
It's okay. I just saying you're just solving the current task, getting focused on it, and yeah, whatever happens next.
There have been a lot of fundraisers for Ukrainians here. Have you had an opportunity to go to any of the fundraisers? I know a lot of people want to shine a spotlight or help raise money for Ukrainians in the
Yeah,
plight.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
been a number of companies and studios that have had fundraisers.
Yeah, I've bumped into. I mean, even just on the streets
Right.
where people and of course this support really can be felt, and I mean even like directly by myself. For example, back home we are shooting some documentary footage, making a documentary archive for in order either to make a film from that
Right.
or at least have some material to reflect on or have some references from it, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, and in order to make that, you need a protection, and like filmmaking community all over Europe, they provided us with the protection, with the helmets and body armor.
Oh.
So these supports really can be felt, and it's very valuable because. It's right now we feel that this is mutual. Sometimes I think a bit difficult to balance because you really don't want to be demanding. You really don't
Right.
want to be a bit victimizing yourself or being
Right.
victimized. But sometimes it's always good to remind ourselves that this support is very valuable, but also that this is kind of mutual because. With this, we're trying also to find and to protect our common values. We made a deal on following at some point of our history as a humankind.
Right.
So yeah, I hope it's like that.
Yeah. I thought about I read something about the Tunisia situation, and somebody had a quote, is something about the more things change, the more things stay the same sometimes. And so, yes, some things have changed because of the Arab Spring, but then a lot of people have said that are Arabs, a lot of things haven't changed. They're still the same, particularly with Tunisia. And I was wondering if you wanted to kind of react to that there was this huge Arab Spring, but then a lot of things have gone back to normal, unfortunately, not in a good way.
Right. Well, I think a lot of the same mechanisms
Right.
remain. But honestly, my intention with the film was to keep it to a character and just to focus on the what happens to someone emotionally in that setting.
Right.
So, I don't know too much. I can't
Right.
speak to it too much about the socio-political climate,
Right.
throughout the region, and I don't have some lesson to teach with it, really.
Yeah, but it's a universal message,
yeah,
though. I mean, you're talking to him, another filmmaker who's dealing with a situation of war. The U.S. had their own kind of uprising a year or so ago. So it's really a story that is universal in so many regions around the world where, the more things change, it seems like initially, but then things often go back to being the same. And that's something
Right.
that's universal.
But what's great with movies is that you can get into that through characters and through people, and I think that's a very unique thing with film. So it's nice to just be able to present that, I think.
I wonder what you two particularly think about in directing Is it easier to have your first story about a real life event as opposed to just creating something out of this fiction, but that it's inspired by somebody, a real life person, or a real life event? Is it easier to tackle a project like that?
Maybe the most sci-fi, the most fantasy story, the most experimental animation, let's say, they grow from the reality one way or another. So it's not the matter that you choose either I refer to the reality or not.
Right.
It's either you are being illusioned that you made it up yourself by your unique imagination, or you are aware that all your creativity is connected to the reality, is coming from the reality and should be connected to it afterwards.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that's totally true. But at the same time, I think the opposite is also true. That at least my experience in doing my first scripted thing, coming from documentary, was that I had to get away from the reality when it comes to making movies and get into the artifice of movies, and all that you can do with that, with fiction.
Right.
So I would say both are true.
Yeah. No, definitely. Any parting suggestions, advice, or anything you can offer the filmmaker that will be in your spot next year? There will be other filmmakers that will come here and it'll be their first directorial debut, and they'll be sitting in that chair talking to someone like me, dealing with the crowds at Cannes, dealing with the press, trying to navigate this zoo. And I'm wondering if any of you guys have any advice for them. Soumitra, do you want to?
No, I don't think I have any advice.
You're running a company too, so you really do. You have a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a film here.
Right.
So
For just a company exec.
Person, somebody like me, next year should do a lot of planning.
Planning.
I mean, we should, before coming here, one has to really plan.
You can never plan too much for Cannes, by the way.
Yeah, you
never.
can't, yeah.
Like plan, and then plan some more, for sure. For sure. What about you, Maksym? Any suggestions?
Well,
or
I would
advice?
say that I would definitely warn one that there's gonna be really much talking.
Okay.
But also, it's one should never forget that the film, first of all, should speak by itself.
Okay.
I found it relieving to have a lot of people from the team, from our crew,
Bring your hype man and your hype woman here with you.
but also just for all of us to share in it,
Right,
just
of course.
the excitement of it. So
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you're never going to be a debut filmmaker at Cannes again. So it's that one opportunity you really got to take advantage of that.
yeah, to try to enjoy it with the people you made it with, I think, is a great thing.
Wonderful,
here,
wonderful.
So, yeah.
I would like to turn to the audience now and give you guys an opportunity to ask one of them or all of them a question about their filmmaking or what it's like to be at Cannes for the first time. Any questions at all you guys have? Does anyone have a question for our wonderful panelists or filmmakers at all? Just raise your hand if you do. Or
How do you find funding? Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
How do you find funding?
Yeah.
With great difficulty.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, really, it was like we had funding from all over the place, and it was a European co-production with soft funds and independent finance, and things fell through and then came back, and it was a total puzzle. So we lots of little risks that people took,
to get you here.
Yeah.
It's all.
Well, in our case, it was also like containing from different parts of also an international co-production, which is sometimes the only way to finish the film. But also, it was very good that the European industry is so also open and inclusive, and also that recently our state funding was so much developed, because the main funding body for my film was the State Film Agency, giving like around 400,000 euro for the debut, which is like a standard thing for financing the debut. Wow. And afterwards, it was also an international co-production of 3 more countries. And after they came on board, it also opened us an opportunity to apply for Eurimage. It was a long way for Ukraine, but finally we made it to the fund, and we were among the first ones to get the Eurimage financing, which was an honor, and yeah, that helped us also to finish the film. And also, it opens up a lot of doors afterwards, not in terms of production, because right now we have these obligations to screen the film in each country of production, which are very pleasant obligations. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. We have a question, I think, young lady in the back.
Thank you so much. For an animator, I was wondering what kind of challenges you have, because you have to justify why it's an animated movie versus the other sort. So can you talk about the challenges of your first time doing something like that?
Great question.
So yeah, actually, it's a good question. A lot of films. So I'll just tell you what I feel about this thing. I think animation is reality with a in a twist. It is reality, but it's got a twist in it, and that twist is exciting for me. Like for example, Kabuliwala is a very grim story. I mean, it can be a grim story, but if you do the same film in animation, it adds a level of abstraction to it. It adds a level of a layer of fable kind of a thing. So it takes it away from reality, in spite of being rooted in reality.
Right. There's always reality, a little reality in animation,
Yes,
for
yeah.
sure.
May I also ask the additional question?
Oh,
about
yeah,
it?
absolutely.
Because I was also wondering.
Absolutely.
Because for me, animation is always kind of conditional, of course, because as you have said, you are taking this reality and transform it completely. How do you, in particular, usually choose these conditions on how you transform this reality? Is it always like inspirational and always, let's say, the creative process, or is there some analysis in that sometimes?
No, it is a very internal process actually. So all the films that we have launched now
Right.
recently have been with me for last 2-3 years at least. So I wrote this also script, and as you're writing it, only you're creating images in your mind, and
Right.
and since I'm a painter also, I mean it kind of is slightly easier for me to imagine things and actually draw it also out. So it's a interesting process, and what is also interesting is that one has to work with a team. You have to message this entire aesthetic to a entire to large number of people. 100 people are going to work on this film, and each of them has to feel same.
Do they change a lot of your vision, let's say, of your
No.
aesthetic?
Yeah, no. I mean, you can't allow them to change them a lot. Otherwise, it goes out of your hand, and then so you have to train people. Like we actually train people for 3-4 months, before we start the production of the
Right.
film, so that all of us are on the same page, and it's important for us that all the artists feel the ownership towards the image, because it's not my image anymore. It has to be everybody's image.
Okay, we don't have time. We were kind of wrapping up here. I just want to thank all of our panelists. I don't know if they have time to stay around at all, but thank you so much.
Thank you all
Let me
very
tell
much.
you, they
Thank
had
you.
a really, really, really busy week, all of them. So for them to even take an hour to come over here to the American Pavilion and talk with you guys, we just really appreciate it. The HFPA, American
for having
Pavilion.
us.
Thank you so much to all our
Thank you.
filmmakers and our CEO.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.